And you are live.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the Monday, April 26th Dublin City Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Good evening and welcome. Given the current pandemic conditions and as allowed by the state legislature, we continue to conduct our public meetings virtually to maintain the safety of all council, city staff, and most importantly, our residents. We can access the live stream on the city's website or via our YouTube channel. In order to submit questions or comments during the meeting, please use the form under the streaming video on the city's website. These questions and comments will be relayed to City Council by our communication and public information staff during the meeting. We want to accommodate public participation to the greatest extent possible. We welcome your comments on public business. We ask that you refrain from inappropriate comments and want to certainly let you know how much we appreciate your patience in these trying circumstances. With that, Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Ambrose Grooms.
Here.
Vice Mayor DeRosa.
Here.
Miss Aludo.
Here.
Miss Fox.
Here.
Mr. Healer.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
Here.
And Mr. Reiner.
Here.
Great, thank you. At this point, I'd like to invite Homer Rogers to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Homer. Okay, we have two special presentations this evening. First, we have with us Abby Steiner. And I saw her a little bit ago, so I think she's here. Abby, if you want to. Hello, good evening. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, I tell you what, you're like a frequent flyer here at Dublin City Council meetings. We've had so many things to honor you for throughout. I'm going to read the proclamation and then give you a few minutes to share with us some of all the goings on. I've heard a few things, but can't wait to hear the rest of them. So I will read this proclamation. Whereas Abby Steiner won the 200-meter dash gold medal on March 13th, 2021 at the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Whereas with a time of 22.38 seconds, the 2018 Dublin Kaufman High School graduate and University of Kentucky junior tied the indoor collegiate record and the NCAA Indoor Championship record. Tied for the second fastest indoor in U.S. history, tied for the fifth fastest in world history, and achieved a personal best record. And whereas Abby was named first team All-American for her performance in the 200-meter dash and as part of Kentucky's 4x400 relay team and second team for the 60-meter dash. And whereas she is now an 8-time All-American for indoor track, including 3 times as a sophomore and twice as a freshman. And whereas her outstanding efforts on the track have placed her in the running for the prestigious Bowerman Award, which honors the top collegiate track and field athlete. And whereas Abby won 16 state championships in high school and holds the state records in the indoor 60-meter and 200-meter and outdoor 100-meter and 200-meter races. And whereas a human health sciences major, Abby plans to pursue a career as a physical therapist. Now, therefore, I, Chris Ambrose Grooms, Mayor of the City of Dublin, Ohio, on behalf of Dublin City Council, do hereby congratulate Abby Steiner on her outstanding achievements and wish her the very best as she continues to train for the U.S. Olympic trials scheduled for June 18th to the 27th in Eugene, Oregon. That's stunning. I'm reading these words and I don't even have a category for the accomplishments that you have achieved. So just share with us a little bit about what training's looking like and what you think is going to happen here in the near term.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys all so much for having me and honoring me again at one of these meetings, even though it's a little bit different this time around. So yeah, after that championship, we've just continued to train. It was a really special moment, especially since last season we were actually at the indoor championships, and that's when all of the COVID protocols started going into place. So we were there at the indoor championship a day away from running, and then we were all sent home. So it was really special this year, even though things looked a little different with, social distancing and wearing masks, to be able to compete again for that title. So it was really special to share that with my teammates and my coaches as well.
Well, I cannot imagine the level of commitment it must take to train for something like that. That has got to be a 24/7, eat right, sleep right, study right. Everything you do has to be right to have those kinds of achievements. So
Yeah, we
we are
always
so proud of you. And I always love the Olympics, but my golly, if someone that I knew was representing us, I couldn't sleep all week. I think I'd just be up waiting and just wrenching my hands and pining away. So I hope that you know how much we're cheering for you and how proud of you we are, and how much pleasure we take in just seeing the greatness on display and all of that you are exhibiting to your teammates and in the globe and the way that you represent Dublin. So we're so proud of you, and I'm sure your schedule is incredibly busy. So eat a good dinner, get to bed early. I don't know what else would your mom tell you if she were saying this.
some homework too. But thank you all so much. I really appreciate all of your kind words and for having me once again.
Good. Well, we couldn't be any more proud of you. So thanks for taking a few minutes to be with us tonight.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, our next special presentation recognition is for Brady Barnum, and I believe he is not perhaps with us on video, but I believe we have him, his audio here. So I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation and ask him to take a few minutes to share a couple of thoughts of his with us as well. So here goes. Whereas Brady Barnum won the title of 2021 national champion in the boys 8 to 10 age division at the drive, chip, and putt finals in Augusta National Golf Club on
I think it's working now. So the button's kind of like not disabled. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh,
Thank
you can.
you. We
Hey.
can. Fantastic. I'm sorry we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Perfect. All right. I didn't know you guys could hear me.
Very good.
Okay. Whereas conducted in partnership between the Masters Tournament, the PGA of America, and the U.S. Golf Association, the Drive, Chip, and Putt Championship featured 80 golfers competing in 8 divisions. And whereas Brady, whose favorite golfer is Tiger Woods, started playing golf at the age of 3 and locked up the 2021 Drive, Chip, and Putt trophy by sinking a 30-foot putt and placing his second shot just 7 inches away from the cup. And whereas he qualified for this year's Drive, Chip, and Putt Championship in the summer of 2019 by finishing first at 3 qualifying rounds held at Heatherwood Golf Club in Springboro, Ohio, TPC Rivers Bend in Mainville, Ohio, and Oakland Hills in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And whereas this was Brady's second time to participate in the national finals after finishing 5th overall in the boys 7 to 9 division in 2018. And whereas Brady credits his dad Craig with giving him his best piece of advice: work hard. Hard work pays off, which Brady proved at Augusta. And whereas Brady's, whose home course is Muirfield Village, also participates in the PGA Junior League, where he made the All-Star team and competed at Napoleon in Farmington, Pennsylvania, for the regional final. Now therefore I, Chris Ambrose, Groomsmayor of the City of Dublin, on behalf of Dublin City Council, hereby declare Friday, April 30th, 2021, as Brady Barnum Day in the City of Dublin, and congratulate Brady on his great success while wishing him all the best as he pursues his dream of becoming a championship golfer. So Brady, thanks for being with us tonight. What an unbelievable time. I had the opportunity to watch the video, and I saw that putt hit the cup, bounce up, and then dropped straight in, and that certainly had to have been a really exciting time. What were some of your thoughts? What were some of your takeaways from that day?
Well, I feel like I played perfectly. I just stuck to the process, and I just tried. I learned a lot from the first time I went. The nerves are really high, and it's definitely a great experience just to be there. And I wasn't really thinking too much. I was just trying to play smart. But when that putt went in, the only thing I could really think about was the next putt, right? So I kind of did a little fist pump, and I just went to the next putt, and worked out pretty well.
Well, that is great. It was really such a fun time to see that happen, and then to be watching the Masters over the week, and they had different highlights that they would play at different points of time, and you just had to really feel good about. I'm a little partial to you golfers. I never could run for very fast, but I do watch my share of golf. So I know how much hard work and dedication it takes to be good at anything in life, but particularly in golf as well. So we're just really proud of you, and it was so fun to watch. And we just wanted to celebrate you and bring you here and really just pour over you for a few minutes and let you know how much we appreciate all that you do and know how hard you work to the accomplishments that you have.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
thanks for being with us, Brady.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you have a great night. You probably want to stick around for this really interesting council meeting. I'm sure it's way better than anything that's going on your phone or anything like that.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you. Good to see you, Craig. Good to see you.
All right, good seeing you guys. Thank you.
Brady, you're chip
Congratulations,
off the
Dad.
block, man.
Sorry we couldn't get him on video.
Yeah.
And by the way, just before we go, he was able to meet Lou Holtz and Condoleezza Rice, and he was surrounded by some unbelievable people. That's part of the story he didn't tell you. It was that day was just filled with amazing stories. But thanks for having us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Really
Dad.
proud of
No, it's a really proud moment for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you guys for everything you do. Appreciate
Good
it.
night.
Have a
Yeah,
great evening.
Good night.
Okay, I would like to invite any member of the public to speak to any topic that is not on this evening's agenda, and we're going to do it a little bit differently. We have consolidated the clerk's office with public relations so that all comments will come from coming through Lindsay and CPI and delivered to us that way, so we won't have to check in with Jenny each time. So Lindsay, have we had any public comments on any item not on this evening's agenda?
Good evening, Mayor. No comments at this time.
Great, thank you. Okay, is there a request to remove the item that is in the consent agenda? If not, I will proceed with the motion of approval of the April 12th regular meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Andy and Christina. Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms,
Yes.
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler.
Yes.
Okay, this will bring us to second reading public hearing ordinances, ordinance 14-21.
Rezoning two parcels, 5555 and 5565 Premier Drive containing Dublin City Hall from SO Suburban Office and Institutional District to PUD Planned Unit Development District, Kaufman Park totaling approximately 4.44 acres, located southwest of the intersection of Premier Drive and Emerald Parkway.
Great, I believe that there's Jenny there. Good evening. We'll hear our staff report from Jenny Roush.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I have no updates from the first reading, and staff is recommending approval or for council's approval of this ordinance.
Great, thank you. Lindsay, have we received any public comment either through any of the offices?
No, we have not.
Council questions, discussion? Hearing none. Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, brings us to ordinance 15-21.
Rezoning two parcels, 6077 and 6101 Avery Road from SO Suburban Office and Institutional District and from NC Neighborhood Commercial District, Washington Township to TF Technology Flex District, totaling approximately 1.26 acres, located west of Avery Road, south of intersection with Ireland Place.
Great, thank you. And I believe Jenny Roush has the staff report on this as well.
And again, with this ordinance, we have no changes as well and recommend approval as proposed to this evening.
Okay, council questions, discussion? Hearing none, Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Keeler,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
and Ms. Fox.
Yes.
Great, ordinance 16-21.
Amendment to zoning code section 153.074 to address the conversion of garages into habitable space.
Thank you. Third time's a charm. We'll stick with Jenny.
Good evening. We have no updates or changes based on council's discussion and recommend approval of this proposed ordinance.
Thank you. Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this legislation?
No, we have not.
Council questions, discussion? Maybe Jennifer Radler, can you tell me when this this legislation will take effect?
It would take effect 30 days after approval, tonight's approval, after second reading.
Great. Okay, if there's no other comments, Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler,
Yes.
and Mayor Ambrose Grooms.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, ordinance 17-21.
Amendments to zoning code section 153.044 to modify the permitted uses within the Technology Flex District related to motor vehicle repair major.
Great, thank you. And again, we'll stay with Jenny.
You're almost done with me. So no proposed changes or updates from the last. We recommend approval. Thank you.
Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this legislation?
We have not.
Council questions, discussion? I just have one, Jenny. It talks about existing uses. And then it says if that use discontinues, then it will not be permitted. So what would trigger that use discontinuing? So could they sell an active business and that would continue the use? But if it closed and somebody else reopened it, so if there was a period of non-activity or what would be the trigger there in that instance?
Yeah, it would be if it ceases to exist. So yeah, in your first example, if it's an active use and it's sold to another person that uses it the same, that'd be able to be retained. If they are proposing, or if it goes out of business and there would be a period of time where it would be discontinued, then you would not be able to establish that use again.
Okay, so even though the structure could remain and all of those things, but if the use stopped, then the use could not be restarted.
Correct.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 18-21.
Amendments to zoning code section 153.066 of the City of Dublin's zoning code regarding the Bridge Street development process to add an amended final development plan procedure.
Thank you. Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this legislation?
We have not.
Council questions, discussion? Jenny, I had just one, I was looking at the table that 153.066. So we had some administrative approvals. I didn't see those on the tables anywhere. Would this amended final development process at all impact the administrative procedures that can happen in the Bridge Street District?
No, this would not make any modifications to that. This would just allow for project of a more minor nature that again don't fit the bill, if you will, for requiring that concept plan, preliminary, final development, that 3-step process. There's sort of fall between that major project piece of that and minor projects, but our ability to do the administrative at a staff level, those would remain the same.
So this essentially fills the gap between the administrative decisions and the criteria for those and the full-on amended final development plan.
Yes, it would be. So if someone wanted to change the exterior of their building, they wouldn't be required to go through a lengthy 3-step process. They would be allowed to handle that as part of an amended final development plan. So it's meant to expedite the process for projects of a more minor nature, but that still require planning commission approval.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Hearing none, Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms,
Yes.
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor DeRosa.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 19-21.
Authorizing the city manager to execute and accept necessary conveyance documents and contracts to acquire the property and easements located at 6371 Shire Rings Road, identified as Franklin County parcel number 27400015700 from the Board of Education of the Dublin City School District for the public purpose of constructing a new roadway and related infrastructure which shall be open to the public without charge.
Great, thank you. Lindsay, have we received any public comment? Oh, I'm sorry, we'll start with staff report. Skip right over that. Switch it up, go with Megan O'Callahan. Good evening, Megan.
Good evening, members of council. There are no changes to this ordinance from first reading. However, at your request, I have provided an exhibit showing the location of the proposed bus access drive for the school's operations center, and staff recommends council approval of this ordinance. Thank you.
Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this legislation?
We have not.
Council questions, discussion?
Chris, I think Megan said she had shown that. Is that something we can just put up on the video so public can see? Be great, since we asked for it.
I will share my screen now.
Thank you, Megan.
Hopefully you can now see that. So this is the exhibit that I had added to council packet for this meeting. So you can
So it looks
see
like they added 2 additional access points, one coming out to Fleet Drive and then one cutting over to the road that leads into the existing Dublin Service Center.
Yes, this is the southern drive that will need to be built connecting. So the schools will perform a fence cut. There's currently a fence there. They will provide the fence cut, we will provide this drive, and then we will work with them to work out the details of this shared access over here.
Because we have a gate over there, correct? A access gate?
We do. So we need to work through details of security and how they will access that gate and what type of security both of our operations will need.
Any other questions from council? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, Jenny, would you please call roll?
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler,
Yes.
Ms. Aludo,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms.
Yes. Okay, brings us to introduction, first reading, public hearing, ordinances, ordinance 20-21.
Authorizing the provision of certain incentives to Collision Right LLC to induce it to lease a facility to retain and expand its corporate headquarters and its associated operations and workforce, all within the city, and authorizing the execution of an economic development agreement.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Christina. And Sarah O'Malley is with us this evening with our staff report. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Before you this evening is an economic development agreement for Collision Right LLC. Established in Dublin in 2021, Collision Right has reached capacity at its temporary Dublin facilities located inside of Code Networking anchor Brickhouse Blue that's located in Bridge Park. As a result, Collision Right has been conducting a competitive real estate search for expansion opportunities to establish a national headquarters in several central Ohio communities. Collision Right offers high quality auto body repair services by combining advanced training, OEM certifications, as well as state-of-the-art technology equipment. And so to meet these expansion needs, Collision Right is considering executing a 10-year lease in Dublin that would retain and establish a new corporate headquarters in the community under woman-owned leadership. So in consideration of the company's investment commitment, the EDA proposes a performance withholding incentive valued at $79,000. And so this incentive is contingent upon the company executing a 10-year lease and within Dublin of around 5,000 square feet or greater. The project retains 6 existing employee positions within Dublin. The company also expects to grow an additional 27 new employee positions within the city by the end of 2028, which is weird for me because I'll have a high school graduate then. But the city anticipates more than $374,000 in net withholdings over the next 7 years. So staff would recommend that council passes this ordinance 20-21 on May 10th, 2021. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Lindsay, have we received any public comment on this legislation?
We have not.
Thank you. Council questions, discussion.
I had a quick question. Sarah, quite often these EDAs include a employee growth and or retention goal, as well as a lease obligation. Could you share a little bit about why this one does not?
Can you clarify what you mean by retention and growth goal?
Well, sometimes
Sure.
These agreements really are incenting hiring of employees. So the withholding, in addition to signing lease, often they include
like a retention grant.
Well, no, just a goal for number of employees either retained and or expanded on. And I didn't see it here, and I was wondering why that was the case.
So I think it's included. So they have 6 employees now within the Bridge Park parameters at Brickhouse Blue. They do expect, over the next 7 years to grow incrementally, kind of capping out at 33 employees by the end of 2028. So we do have a gradual growth trajectory that we assume that they'll reach by that 2028 benchmark.
I think
okay,
the
language doesn't specify that in there necessarily. It just says expectation, not requirement.
Yeah, so
if I'm having trouble with clarification here, so.
No, that's okay. They would be required to, every year meet certain employee benchmarks to qualify for their incentive. So that's laid out, every year they'll get to, like in 23, they keep growing, that's how we lay out the performance piece. So if I didn't include that, I'd be happy to include that for next reading.
Maybe the confusion is it appears that it's only on withholdings and not jobs. And I think oftentimes we'll see withholding in jobs.
Sure.
For the cap. And this just appears, I think, I don't mean to speak for you, Kathy, but I think that in my mind, that looks like the difference.
And I think some clarification on what that is from a jobs perspective, because the calculation had to have been calculated. I think that would be just helpful for clarification when you when it's brought back. So This is wonderful. I thank you for your work on this. Would appreciate that for the second reading. Thank you, Sarah.
I might be able to answer those now. I have our spreadsheet up. So like by 22, they anticipate 16 employees and 2.1 million in payroll. Is that kind of the information, the detail that you'd like?
I think it'd be nice if it was laid out in the
Sure.
That would be great. Thanks so
No
much.
problem. I'd be happy to share that.
Yeah, if you can just incorporate that language into the economic development agreement, and then we'll, it'll be easy to point to if there's any misunderstandings at some point down the line. Yeah, Jane?
Yeah, so Chris, I was thinking the same thing when I read that. And one of the things as I read through that contract, and I'd like to ask Jennifer Redler what she thinks. Because of this flux with whether people work remote or they work within the city, making sure that it's dedicated to the amount of withholding gives the corporation the ability that you're not going to be able to withhold it unless they're working in the city, right?
Mhm.
So it's sort of an incentive to be working in the city, otherwise you won't make your withholding. You can't tell someone in a contract where they work, but I think the contract, and this is what I'd like to ask Jennifer, pretty much incentivizes you to be sure that your withholding happens within the city of Dublin. So is that how we cover ourselves to be sure that these economic development agreements we aren't giving incentives and then people are going to be paying income tax to other municipalities if they work remotely?
Mm-hmm. Requiring the lease space requires them to maintain that physical presence. So that's kind of the first step. And then we are dealing with issues with the state legislature, as you're well aware, about income tax withholding. But the purpose of this, getting the incentive, is based on performing these jobs in Dublin. And so if they can't meet those caps, then they don't get the incentive. So we have more control in these types of agreements.
It seems to me that that's an effective way to incentivize people to at least be sure that the workforce is in Dublin and is paying taxes, so it sort of disincentivizes remote work. But it'll be interesting to see what happens as people work more remotely, how we manage these economic development incentives. But I think this is well covered here, so I appreciate that.
I think as we looked at this project, we were excited that it established a new headquarter company in Dublin. It is have woman-owned leadership, which is exciting for us. And it does represent a long-term lease commitment of 10 years, which we're seeing a lot of people trying to get thrifty as people are looking to work more remotely, to maybe sign a 2 or 3 year lease, which we would, just as a policy standpoint, wouldn't incentivize. So the long-term lease agreement of this arrangement was, a great win we see in a time where we all are watching what companies will be doing with real estate.
I think that's a great job, Sarah, really. So thanks for all that info.
Thank you.
Sarah, are there any representatives from Collision Right with us tonight?
There is not this evening, but Denise Kessner will join us at second reading on May 10th.
Okay, I'd like to learn a little bit more about what they do. Seems it's a pretty impressive growth rate, outgrowing basically work share environment within 1 year. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from them directly. Thank you.
Very much so. Sure.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, we will look forward to second reading public hearing on May the 10th. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay, introduction public hearing resolution 22-21.
Appointing a member to the City of Dublin Architectural Review Board.
Introduce it.
Thanks, Christina. And our staff report is from our very own Vice Mayor Kathy DeRosa. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you very much. As council is aware, a recent resignation resulted in a vacancy on the Architecture Review Board. Applications were received over several weeks via our website, and interviews were held on the 14th of April. It is my pleasure this evening to bring forward the appointment of Martha Cooper for this unexpired term, which ends March 31st, 2023. Martha served 2 3-year terms on the Board of Zoning Appeals and is looking forward to continuing her service to the community on the ARB. Happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this resolution?
We have not.
Council, questions, discussion? I'd just like to thank all of those that submitted an application, and we had some certainly great applicants that I suspect we will be seeing more of in the future, and look forward to that partnership with them. And with that, I will ask Jenny to please call the roll.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Ms. Aludo?
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Keeler?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner? Vice Mayor DeRosa?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 23-21.
Accepting the lowest and best bid for the State Route 161 Causeway Road Roundabout project.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Christina. And there is Mr. Paul Hammersmith. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. On April 6, 2021, 7 bids were received, open and read, for the State Route 161 Causeway Road Roundabout project. This project is located at the intersection of State Route 161 and Causeway Road and provides access to the commercial development on the north side of State Route 161. The work consists of the construction of a modern roundabout, including asphalt paving, storm sewer, curb and gutter, straight curb, truck apron, brick pavers, sidewalk, shared use path, streetlights, signing, pavement markings, and landscaping. The project is situated in 3 separate jurisdictions: the City of Dublin, Union County, and Franklin County. All 3 jurisdictions, collectively known as the project partners, have been working together to construct this project. The project partners entered into a cooperative construction agreement on June 28th of 2016 for the intersection improvements. In accordance with the agreement, the city was the main point of contact regarding the property acquisition necessary for the project, but Union County was responsible for the cost of purchasing or acquiring those property interests from the various property owners. The engineer's estimate for the roundabout project is $3.5 million. In accordance with the agreement, the city previously contributed $937,500 towards the project to Union County. In addition to the city's contribution, Franklin County and the developer were also obligated to make financial contributions towards the project. Along with the financial contribution, the city agreed to perform project or property acquisitions, coordinate utility relocations, oversee plan preparation, and manage construction and inspection for the project. Pursuant to the cooperative agreement, Union County is to finance the remaining costs of the project and pay all invoices. George J. Eigel and Company Incorporated submitted the lowest and best bid of $3,073,309.83. The roundabout project is required to be substantially complete and open to traffic in August 2021. The completion date for the entire project is September 30th, 2021. The typical and customary communication methods will be used to convey construction information with the residents, business owners, and motorists throughout the duration of this project. Staff has thoroughly reviewed the George J. Eigel and Company Incorporated bid. Previous experience with George J. Eigel and Company has been favorable on several past projects, and staff is confident they will perform well in this project. Staff recommends council approval of Resolution 2321, accepting as lowest and best the bid of George J. Eigel and Company Incorporated in the amount of $3,073,309.83, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with them for this project. I'll be glad to answer any questions council might have regarding this resolution.
Great, thanks, Paul.
You're
Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this resolution?
We have not.
Thank you. Council questions, discussion? I think the whole community will be pretty excited to see this intersection get some improvement. It's certainly
We
it's
will
a
be
quagmire, if you will. Yes. Well,
absolutely.
thanks for working on it, Paul. And I know our staff has taken the lead on being the manager of this project. I think that's a great service to everyone in that region. So thanks for doing that.
You're welcome. We're glad to do it.
Okay, if there's nothing further, I don't see anything else. Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa,
Yes.
Ms. Saludo,
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms,
Yes.
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Keeler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, resolution 24-21.
To approve the application filed by the city manager, thereby creating a designated outdoor refreshment area in Bridge Park and enacting regulations.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Christina. And Allison, there she is with our staff report. Welcome, Allison.
Good evening, members of council. This is the last time to actually have the doors go into place that I am coming forward. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. And can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Great, thanks. So tonight, just going to go over some basic information on the doors again, and then some specific ones about the two different doors. First one, as we've discussed before, are the hours. It's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m., and then any special events that might be approved by council. We will tomorrow, assuming the resolutions are passed, tomorrow we will send the applications and resolutions to the state, and then they will begin to implement or put the ordinance together. But they will have those out, we're expecting within the couple of weeks, and then we will review the pilot in August. So just to remind everybody, we did do an online survey beforehand, but we are going to be doing it throughout the implementation of the pilot. So we will have both a public survey and also the business owner survey, and those are going to be available on our website. We're going to have a specifics page both for patrons, which is just going to be Dublin/Dora, and then the one for businesses is going to be Dora-businesses. We are also going to be collecting all police calls, citations, noise complaints, and accidents that might occur in that specific area that includes the Dora. And then we'll also do a Zen City report, which is all the online sentiment. So the branding, this is on the right there, you see the actual Dora logo. It's on the cup here. And this is a sample of what the cup will look like. We did actually have to order some cups already. Another thing COVID is affecting is the ability to order personal cups. We're finding at least a 4-week lead time on cups. So we ordered them a couple weeks ago so that we would have them in place, just an initial amount. I know there were some discussions about the cups, Mayor, both the recyclability and the whether we could do composting. So the problem is right now, these cups that we ordered are able to be recycled, but unfortunately, no one in Central Ohio recycles cups right now. So we'll continue to follow up on that, see if we can find somebody to do that. We'll work on that throughout the pilot period. The other option would be compostability. You can get those cups right now. Those cups are about a 10 to 16 week lead time, depending on the manufacturer. And to enable to actually compost, we would have to have specific compost bins, both in historic Dublin and in Bridge Park. Right now, we don't have compostable bins because anything that would go, should you put regular trash in the compost bin, they would have to be separated out. So we will continue to look at doing something like that. While we're in the pilot program, we'll research best practices. We don't know of any Doras right now that are composting. We have heard Hillier might be looking at a pilot program to compost their Dora cups. So we'll follow up with them and see how their success is. But right now we'll have these recyclable cups, and hopefully we'll be able to find a way to recycle them, because right now we unfortunately do not have an ability to do that, but we will keep following up on that to see what we can do. On the Dora branding, so all of our businesses downtown will have one of these stickers. So to sort of explain the differences, the one that's the more city green, that one is basically saying it would go on a retail establishment saying you can bring your Dora drink into this establishment. The sold here would be at all of our bars and restaurants. And then the burgundy one, or red, it's supposed to be a stop, would be for any business that doesn't want any of the drinks to come into their business. And we will work both with Crawford Hoying, Visit Dublin. Sarah O'Malley has agreed to work with us to get these stickers out as soon as we can, as soon as we hear from the state that we're approved. So we also discussed last time the boundary signs. We had looked at street signs, and we decided for the pilot program, instead of going to the expense of ordering, I think it's 50 some new street signs that have to be at each of the boundaries, we are going to do the clings that go on the sidewalks. So those will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and that they will be on all the boundaries. And then we'll analyze whether at the end of the pilot, whether we want to keep with these or go to a street sign. But right now it'll be pretty obvious that you know when you get to the boundary signs. So our next steps prior to implementation. We will submit the resolution to the state, and then we'll wait to hear back from them. We have a meeting with all of our retail scheduled this Thursday to go over the final details about the clings, the cups, things like that. And then we'll also have our specific web pages that will be live, and they will have the maps and all the rules. And then we will distribute the clings to businesses, install the street signs, deliver cups once we receive them. And then as soon as we know from the state when they will be able to process those, we will announce our implementation date. We do expect it to be about 3 weeks or so. So to go specifically on Bridge Park, this is the same map. We didn't make any changes from the last council meeting, but I just wanted to bring it up again in case anybody has any questions. It does go down and include the AC Marriott and the Exchange down on the south side. It does go up to where Haggerty's going to be and the new restaurant, as well as to the new hotel that is open on Bridge Park Avenue. And again, just so people remember, we are not allowing people to take their Dora beverages along Riverside Drive. It's just allowed in the area where the pink is, where people can walk. So with that, I'll take any questions before we vote on the resolution.
I have a question for you, Allison. The logo, have you purchased all of the logo items and everything, the clings and all that yet?
Just the cups. And again, these are all, none of these are going to last beyond this pilot period. Everything that we ordered is in smaller quantities, that and the clings are not ordered yet at this point.
Well, the only reason I ask is because, and you know, and it's a small thing. It's the cup that's says at the top at downtown Dublin Dora, and you show a cup.
Yeah.
It would really be nice to have the Dublin Link logo that we have with the little bridge and the shamrocks. And the only reason I say that, the cup doesn't really make that much difference, but I know that you have to show the state your logo, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that the cling is on the sidewalk or on a sign, to me, it seems more appropriate to have the little logo of the link and a shamrock than to have the logo of a mix of an alcoholic drink. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the possibility of, I'd like to hear what council says, but it just seems like it's a nice marketing piece. It would be very generic when you're walking down the street. You're not looking at a drink sign. You're looking at a sign that says Dora with our logo on it. But you have ordered cups, and that's kind of our.
And again, we only have 25. No, I forget exactly how many cups. So things can be changed. The only thing, when we internally met, we were afraid to use the bridge logo only for the confusion that the drinks are not allowed on the bridge. So that was why staff kind of thought if we had a logo of the bridge on the cup and then didn't allow them on the bridge, there could be confusion. But again, there is still time to change everything but the cups. Nothing else has been ordered. And the cups on the second round could get the new logo.
Right. I would like.
I agree. It would be a conflicting message to have an image of the bridge on the cup that you can't cross with the cup. But maybe something different than a picture of a cup on the cup might be appropriate.
Well, even the shamrock, something that would be more Dublin specific. It just seems to me that it's a permanent sign, and you look down and you see. I mean, the Dora is informational. But I also think this is opportunity to just kind of promote the city in a fun way. I don't think that, it seems to me you're using that image of the bridge and a shamrock everywhere. So I don't know that it would be, to me, I don't see that as being confusing, but.
Maybe we could put this as one of the pieces that we do from a success review period, since the cups are already ordered. Since we're going to be reviewing this in, what did you say, August anyway?
Yeah.
Maybe, Allison, you can put this as definitely one of those things that we talk through as we review it, because if we want to move forward with Adora in a more permanent fashion, I agree we should probably work on the logo just a little bit.
That sounds fair. I don't know, Allison, how much trouble that is. Is it a big deal to change your logo with the state if we do a little alteration of the logo?
No, that's not one of the. We only have to go back to the state if we change the actual boundaries. Otherwise, we don't have to go back to them for anything.
Oh, great. I think it's worth taking a look at. That's all. And I have one other question about the public survey. Is that sort of a real-time thing? How does that work? How are you doing? Because I didn't know we had a real-time public survey capability.
Well, it'll live on our website, so you can go to it anytime. And we had talked about doing just like a single panel brochure, and we'd have the QR code on that. We kind of looked actually on the QR code on the street signs too, but we decided that might get too busy. But so we'll be able to promote that QR code, which will take them directly to the site. And then it'll just be a questionnaire kind of a thing that they can answer at any time. And then we'll start promoting it, I think, too. We'll promote it more probably when we get to mid-July to make sure that we have that feedback, so that for that August meeting, we'll have a good amount of feedback.
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially for the residents. It's really important that they know that they can easily and quickly make a comment that someone is going to see the next day or see in real time, and not just something that it's not in real time. I think it's really important that we able to do that. Zen City is fine, except it's very generic. It's very, you don't know where it's coming from. It's just attitude, right? And what I want to be able to have is specifics. If someone sees or is upset about something or has good things to say, hopefully that's what we'll get.
And the CPI team will be monitoring the public ones, and my team will be monitoring the business ones. So we'll be able to answer any questions that might come up.
Okay, we got a little out of order there. I want to check in with Lindsay. Lindsay, have we received any public comment relative to this resolution?
We have not.
Thank you. Okay, council questions, discussion?
I had a couple quick.
If you could take your screen share down, or Allison, I'm sorry, if you could take your screen share down, then I can see council members. Super, thanks so much. Go ahead, Kath.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Allison, thanks so much for all your work on this. I know it's a lot and it's a pilot, so we're going to learn a lot. I know one of the things that we spoke about, I think in the earlier review, that it might be nice to have a bit of a mid-year checkpoint on just sort of what's trending or what's not, perhaps before we go on to July review, rather than wait, if you will, to the end. So I'm hopeful that we're going to do that. And I very much appreciate your looking into the recycled cups or the composting cups, because I really think that that's going to be an important thing for us moving forward. I know one of the other comments that we had was, how about a reusable cup? And I know I've experienced that in some of my travels, and they make great souvenirs, et cetera, so forth. So I'm hopeful that if we have success, we'll have all sorts of cup opportunities here, right? As we move forward. So thanks. My only other comment was for instantaneous feedback. The Go Dublin app is just such a wonderful tool as well. And hopefully we'll be able to add some type of a feedback mechanism on that application as well, because it is such a comprehensive, and I know from information that you all have shared with us that that is becoming the go-to place rather than a place on the web where you fill in a form. So perhaps, but looking forward to it, and I appreciate all your work and your team's work on this. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Allison, I would just like to add to Kathy's. I know we are doing the food waste composting with SWACO, and I know that there were some plastics, some compostable plastic type items that were eligible for that composting as well. I guess I'm not, I really appreciate the consideration. I am not really, I don't want to see what Hilliard does and how their success does. I know Ohio State University has a zero landfill if they're inside the stadium on football Saturdays. So there must be very capable ways out there in which to do this that are already demonstrated. So I would like to find out what those are, and I would like to move into that space as soon as possible. I really feel very strongly about that. Also wanted to ask, what is the fee that we're charging for the cups that we have printed up? Is it substantive enough to cover the cost of the cup and perhaps start building some revenue to purchase these recycle compost containers?
I think we discussed doing that after we move past the pilot program. Right now, we're just collecting the amount with, I think there's a $3 processing for 1,000 cups. So they're paying 10 cents a cup, and we paid about 9.5 cents a cup. And we kind of wanted to get that off the ground. And I think that's something we were going to come back with the pilot program in August to say, here's how we recommend going forward and pricing these. So we do build up that bank.
That would be my suggestion. I would be very interested. I don't think it should be incumbent upon the taxpayer to pay for the cups for this, or, you know, in the staff time and all of that sort of thing. You know, these drinks are not going to be inexpensive, and certainly, you know, that's where the cost recovery should be. So when we come back to the pilot, I really want to look at sustainability, number one, and then I want to look at financially sustainable as well, number two, so that, you know, for the emptying of the trash receptacles and all of that sort of thing, this needs to support itself. We certainly don't want to gouge anybody. You know, we don't want to make any money necessarily on it, but it certainly shouldn't be burdensome either on the balance of the community. Okay, anything else from council? Thanks, Allison. This has been a tremendous undertaking, and I know it's been a long time coming. So thanks for all your work on that. Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Ambrose Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Keeler?
Yes.
Ms. Aludo?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 25-21.
To approve the application filed by the city manager, thereby creating a designated outdoor refreshment area in historic Dublin and enacting regulations.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Christina. We'll stay with Allison for the staff report.
The only thing I have specifically that would be different on this one, and I'll reshare my screen, we had a few changes with the this side of the river on the map from the one that was presented to council last time, based on basically on council suggestions. So the first one, oops, moving too fast, was that we did add the area here I'm the wrong place, on North Street, so that we could get the new facility there. And so that's just that one little jog there. And then we did go on South High. We went down to include the entire area that's in the entertainment district. So we went just a little further south to, we had previously stopped about where Coast was, and this takes it down to the chamber just across the street. So it mirrors exactly the entertainment district. So those are just the changes that were made from the original presentation to council, and this is what is in the application and what will go to the state. And that's it, unless there's any questions.
Great, thank you. Lindsay, have we received any public comment on this legislation?
No, ma'am.
Council questions, discussion?
I just want to thank Allison for doing that, and for council too, giving that consideration. As I walk the street and talk to, and I'm sure Sarah O'Malley has too, there was a lot of enthusiasm for allowing the farthest south commercial businesses to be able to utilize the DORA. And I think it's a marketing incentive as well to look for new businesses to think about locating and bringing, retail and maybe a little bit more dining or drinking options down a little bit farther south. So thank you for that.
Allison, since cups are not going to be permitted to cross the bridge, will we have a separate cup for the east and west sides?
We actually originally had considered that. We thought it might be an issue for policing, but we checked with the chief and the lieutenants, and they said it was fine to do the same. That way they're only looking for one thing. So they'll be noticing them, obviously, if they go across the bridge, but they said it didn't matter too much to have separate ones.
Great. Anything else from council? I can't see everybody right now.
I'll stop sharing.
Oh, great, thank you. Anything else from anybody? Hearing none, Jenny, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Aludo?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeRosa?
Yes.
Mayor Ambrose Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Keeler?
Yes.
Great, brings us to the other portion of our agenda, the North Riverview Streets Properties Advisory. I believe Megan is going to have our staff. There she is. She will have our staff report.
Good evening, members of council. I do have a few slides to share. Hopefully you can see my screen. Okay, so we wanted to take this opportunity to provide a brief update on the acquisition of the North Riverview Street properties and the formation of the advisory committee that will help guide the process moving forward. So the locations and the boundaries of the properties we're acquiring are shown on the screen. As an update on where we are in the process to acquire the properties, we do have the property condition assessment reports from December that'll be useful as we move forward. Council approved the purchase of the properties on January 4th. The repo was executed on February 10th. All of the tenants have vacated the properties in February. Staff provided an overview of the zoning, historical significance, and overall condition of each property during the March 1st City Council work session. And City Council had a discussion during that meeting about the goals for these properties as well. Staff did have a final walkthrough with the owner on March 4th and have been working with the sellers to close on the properties. The sellers have been working through some issues on their end and have requested an extension of the closing date, and we expect to close any day now. Once we do close on the property, staff will secure the buildings, and I will also schedule a walkthrough for City Council. During the March 1st City Council work session, I also discussed the formation of an advisory committee that would report back to council as a whole at certain points in the process, and council was supportive of such a process. The advisory committee will become familiar with the properties by visiting the site and walking through the structures and also reviewing the condition assessment reports. The committee will also provide input into the development of an RFP and recommend the final RFP to City Council prior to advertising. The advisory committee will also review and evaluate proposals received and recommend a selection or multiple selections to council for your approval before awarding an opportunity. And in anticipation of closing, we have worked to form the advisory committee, which I have listed on the screen. Council members Fox and Keeler were designated at that work session by council to serve as council's representatives on the advisory committee. Gary Alexander will represent the ARB. Tom Holton, the president of the Historical Society, will represent the Historical Society. Frank Leary will represent the Bridge Park West Homeowners Association, and then we will have the 3 members, staff that are listed on the screen as well. We have discussed the opportunity with each of the individuals, and they are interested and committed to serving on the committee. The committee will also be supported by a historic preservation consultant and our law director as needed throughout the process. And we just wanted to share this brief update and the committee composition with you before proceeding with scheduling that first meeting with the committee. And that concludes my brief presentation for this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, Megan. I will check in with Lindsay. Have we received any recent comments come in?
We have not.
No, okay, thanks so much. Okay, council questions, comments, discussion?
I have a question, Chris, on the Megan, on the historic preservation consultant. I don't know, is that company or consultant already been identified?
So we have a couple of opportunities there. We do have one currently under contract that we utilize for the historic district, and we also could retain the historical consultant that completed the cultural assessment in 2016-17, I believe it was. So depending on the advice that we're needing, we can involve either of those.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is this is a little unique in that we're doing something that's not probably typical in the way of an RFP, and it would be nice to be able to know that someone maybe has walked this walk before as a historic consultant. So that's the only reason I ask, and I'm sure there's time for the advisory committee to take a look at those resumes.
Yeah, and depending how the discussion transpires, we can tap into any other experts as needed throughout the process that the committee needs to support its efforts.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Does not appear so. Okay, we'll move to the Dublin Community Pool North ribbon cutting. Matt Ehrman.
Good evening, members of council. As you're aware, both of the outdoor pools are scheduled to open Saturday, May 29th for the 2021 season. And typically we'd like to host a community-wide open house to commemorate the opening of the new North Pool and the ribbon cutting ceremony. Unfortunately, we are still at such times where a more controlled ceremony is called for. With that, we're planning a smaller ribbon cutting ceremony to take place on Friday, May 28th. That's the day before the pool opens, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. In addition to members of council, the families residing in homes that abut the pool will be invited to attend to recognize their patience as they endure the construction over the past several months. Hopefully, Mayor, you'll be able to attend and say a few words at the ceremony, and immediately following, kids will take their first plunge into the pool. Staff will be on hand to provide free ice cream from the concession stand, and attendees can tour the grounds and take a look inside the new buildings. So staff's here tonight to share these plans with you this evening and to provide council the opportunity to weigh in if they would like.
Thanks, Matt. Questions, comments from council? I'm just glad it's the kids that get to jump in the pool first and it's not pushing your least favorite city council member.
That could have been a competition we could have had, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, there would have been winners. Okay, well, thanks, Matt. We will look forward to it. It certainly sounds like a fun time. Hopefully we'll get a beautiful evening like this one.
Great, thank you.
And we'll celebrate all that you all accomplished in the construction of that beautiful facility. Okay, that brings us to staff comments, and Megan O'Callaghan is our assistant city manager, acting city manager. So Megan, do you have some comments for us from staff?
Dana did not have any staff comments that he asked me to share this evening. So that was brief.
That was brief. We hope that he's having a wonderful time and enjoying some hard-earned time off.
Yes.
Okay, committee reports. We'll start with planning and zoning, Jane.
Yeah, planning and zoning met last Thursday, and I'll just quickly say we reviewed the Block G development for final development plan, conditional use, and final plat. There was a lot of conversation concerning the public realm, really some unique architecture in this particular building, especially the way the parking garage was designed. There will be a restaurant there, and the discussion once again goes along about how much open space is being left available by developers by Bridge Park to allow outdoor dining. And there was quite a bit. They altered, by recommendation of planning and zoning, they altered the footprint of the corner of a building to really allow some nice new outdoor dining space, and then incorporated a water feature. So we are moving forward in that, and I think that some of the public space uses are improving a little bit. So that, and the fact that we also talked about recommending the specialty hospital code amendment to council. That's all.
Great. It's good to see that needle moving a bit. Appreciate that. Admin committee, Kathy.
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Community development, John.
See you all tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Must see TV.
Yep.
Finance committee, Christina.
I wasn't there because I was assisting with the COO search for the city COO, but my understanding is that it was a brief meeting and they mostly covered the stuff that we were going to talk about with regard to Dublin 2035. Greg or Andy, please hop in if there's anything else you want to add to that.
I believe we answered all their questions. We had a conversation. I think we did what we needed to do, and then we postponed. I think we were going to talk about hotel motel tax. We postponed that subject to the next meeting when you could be there to share that subject.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Public services, Jane.
Next meeting is May 3rd.
Super. I will give our MORPC. We have an executive committee and meeting coming up next week. Looking forward to engaging the region and the housing study and seeing how our role might play out in that as well. So hopefully we'll have the results back specific to Dublin before too long and have some substantive conversations relative to next steps. Logan, Union, Champaign County, Andy?
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you, sir. In a few words. 33 quarter group, Kathy, Andy?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, Arts Council, John.
This one's for you, Mayor Chris, because the exhibit from April 27th to June 7th features Alda Garrity and golf. And she does a great job showing emotion along with some really clear, beautiful pictures of golf. And just to remind people, if they want to go see these exhibits, they can make reservations at the Dublin Arts Council. They'll accept up to 4 people at a time to come in and view the art. So get online and you can get your ticket to go in and see these exhibits. So this one's really rather beautiful, and it features something that we're all fond of in this neighborhood. And of course you are, Chris, and that'd be golf. So let's get down and view a really fine exhibit.
Timing is great with the upcoming Memorial Tournament, so I'll be sure to get on and get my tickets there. Thanks, John. Board of Education, Greg.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Washington Township, Jane.
No, nothing to report.
Bridges, Jane.
Yeah, there is good news to report there. Our Dublin Bridges was in this first quarter of 2021, #1 in giving of all 33 bridges communities in the country. They gave over $37,114 in donation and impacted 250 students and families here in the Dublin community. So they've used all of the grant money that the city gave them, and they thank the city for helping them help our citizens. So they do amazing work, all volunteer, and I would just recommend to the public once again, sign up for the email. It is neighborhoodbridges.org. You will be on an email string. Opportunities for kind gestures will be listed daily, weekly sometimes, and you can anonymously help members of the community just by being on the email list and offering your support. So congratulations to them for all the great work they do.
Yeah, it's fun to get those emails and click on them and see all of the ones that have been filled.
Yes, you almost have to rush to get on because they're gone. They're filled like this. It's just kind of magic kindness is what I'd say it is.
All right, back to you, John, for Veterans Committee.
The Veterans Committee wants to say that the honor roll monument will be in place for Memorial Day. That's the monument that honored our veterans that went to our schools, and it's been rehabbed and restored. I want to thank Matt for all his hard work on that. So that will be in place hopefully by Memorial Day.
Great, thanks for working on that. Those old pictures of that are a lot of fun.
Yes, they are.
To see the cars in the background and the way the schools looked and all of those kinds of things is really time capsule in and of itself. So thanks. Okay, that'll bring us to round screen, and I'm going to start here with Jane.
I don't really have much tonight. It's just that it came up earlier about a public real-time opinion or survey, and we've talked about this at council off and on about improving our ability to communicate with the public in real time. And I think I mentioned this at the last council meeting, something that Hilliard was doing and other communities, Worthington too maybe, called Talk to Us. We have this great app, Go Dublin, which has been wonderful, and the responses from the citizens has been great. So I know that the desire to communicate with the city and with all of us on council and staff is one that the community wants. So, you know, I would really like to hear from council if you'd be interested in, I know the admin committee has pursued this, but I guess what I'm looking for is your thoughts on beginning to really ask staff to bring back some options on real-time communication. We do have our HOO leadership meetings. That's great, but it's very hard, especially ward reps, to communicate with neighborhood leaders without using text and email. There must be better ways. Technology is much more advanced. I would really like to hear what my fellow council members say about looking into some other technologies that would allow us to have maybe a little easier kinds of communication, a little bit more real time, and be able to do public polls too when there's a question that we'd like to throw out to the community. So I'll leave that open question and see if anyone has any comments on it.
So I guess, is this outbound or inbound communication or both? And if it's inbound, residents to the city, and when I say the city, I mean staff and council. So now we have a contact city council option, which seems to work okay in my opinion for my purposes anyway. How would this new app, how would that communication or information be disseminated to council members, staff, and at what frequency?
Yeah, you know, Andy, I don't know what software out there is appropriate. I really don't. Right now, you have to go to the website, you have to go to the menu, you have to go to city council, you have to go to that page, and then you get down to contact city council. And that's fine. But I'm sure there's software out there, and I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how it operates. I guess what I'm really asking for is, do we have the energy or the motivation to ask our staff and communications to help us find some appropriate software that we could consider as a possibility and see how it operates? That's what
I do believe that the admin committee is talking about this very subject at their next upcoming meeting, or have been talking about it for some time. Admin committee members, is that accurate?
Well, I'm on the admin committee, and it is true that it is accurate. We are talking about it, and I'll let Kathy hop in here, but I think that Zen City was what kind of came about, and that isn't exactly what I'm talking about. And we are discussing this, but I guess I throw this out there because I think this is a great conversation for all of us at council to to further, give your input on. I'll let
Yeah,
you
so
address that.
we have been talking about it at admin committee, and I think staff is actually working on some different methods for us to use, including helping us put together like council specific next door logins and things like that. And my understanding, Kathy can please hop in, is I thought they were going to start to come up with some of these options for us and to work with us on implementing those options across council, not just with admin committee.
Yeah, our next meeting, we're going to be talking about boards and commission communication. That'll be primarily one of the big topics in some 2035. But this is queued up following that. And I do know I believe we're going to have a all council work session where we're all going to get a little bit more educated on this next generation of Zen City, because I think they're taking some leaps forward, which might help us do some of this. So hopefully, I agree with you, Jane. It's an important topic, and I think, as you said, there are some great tools out there. And I think the challenge always is what's the right tool for us, and how do we integrate it, et cetera, so forth. But I think it's important, and I think we're going to continue to have some opportunities, and then hopefully we can bring this back to council and move some agendas ahead in that regard as well. But I know it's important, and I agree with you, Jane, and we'll keep pushing on that to an admin committee in the next 2-3 meetings.
I guess I would have just a little bit of a slightly different opinion of the whole thing. I encourage us to look into things and know what the options are and know what tools are out there and what's available. But I kind of be interested to know what problem are we trying to fix. I personally believe, we have council meetings and now they're virtual. Anybody anywhere in the city can stand up for 5 minutes and talk about anything that they want to all of city council, or if we ever end up back in chambers, they can come in and talk. I think our staff goes above and beyond. I would be shocked to find a community out there who the city staff does more outreach to residents than we do on issues. And when they get to be specific issues, for example, the North Pool, that's a good example. Remember when we had the sidewalk issue down in Mid-Century and all the communication that we did down there? For me personally, maybe I'm just an old dog. I find social media can sometimes create more problems than it solves. We are available to the residents as we should be. They vote for us as they should. It's a representative democracy. We're supposed to be the ones, that are informed and in tune and in touch and making the decisions that we are expected to make. And what I hesitate about, we have this place up at Apple Valley, and there's next door is up there. Apple Valley next door. It is unbelievable the things people say on that platform, the things that bubble up as conversations that they feel are appropriate to have. I just think sometimes conversation just for conversation's sake can sometimes get you into trouble. And there would probably be, the more vocal people are going to be vocal in that forum as well. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying we are still a representative democracy. We cannot put issues, we can't just take issues and put them up for a poll and then go. And then what happens if it goes differently than a majority of council feels, having more information, feels that it should go? It's a Pandora's box, in my opinion. We are supposed to be responsive and responsible and accountable and transparent and all of those things. I kind of think that we are. People, it's not hard to find. If you really wanted to get a hold of any one of us, it is not hard to do. Go get on the website. You'll find our address. You'll find our cell phone numbers. You can communicate with anybody that you want. You can come to a council meeting. I'm just hesitant to say, well, hey, let's just open it. And I know that's not what you're saying. Let's just open this up to social media and begin to give weight to that, because I for one, I would not personally participate in social media, but I would expect my council members to be responsive and responsible And if I don't speak up on these new platforms, then maybe my voice will, you will assume it doesn't exist because I'm not participating. So I think there's a lot to think about. And I can tell you, I really do believe that over all these years I've been around here, council and staff are really responsive to citizens' concerns and citizen participation. So I think we just need to make sure we aren't, as Chris says, the law of unintended consequences. We don't create problems for ourselves where they don't necessarily, it isn't broke. So I just think we should make sure we know what it is we're trying to fix before we.
You know, Greg,
I would really agree with you in that it is, you know, social media is, it is difficult to determine who it is that you're communicating with. I know that I've seen a number of posts on social media. There are people out there that is their profession, right? To jump in and hijack conversations and steer them in other directions. And I would really agree with you. And you know, we want to represent the people that live in the city of Dublin, and you get on social media and it's very difficult to know who it is that you're communicating with. That's one of the things I like about our Contact City Council process is you put in your address. And so you know that you are working to solve an issue or to receive positive comments. I get an email every single day from a resident in the city of Dublin about something. So we can't be that difficult to find. But you know, I do want to keep up with the times and be current and relevant and all that. But at the same time, I want to know that the issues that I'm being asked to address or contemplate are being brought forward by our residents.
You know, I agree with you, Greg. You're right on. And, you know, we have next door over here and, you know, we're constantly trying to straighten out issues on that. And people are not even in Dublin. And as just Chris said, there's some pot stirrers that just come in with this stuff. And it's just a big hassle to sort it all out. And we have, as Greg has so honestly said, we have been so open. And this place is, you know, like you said, you can come to City Hall, you can, for 5 minutes, say whatever you want. I mean, anybody that really wants a problem or has a problem or needs a problem solved has our accessibility all the time. So I don't know if we want to go looking for a problem that we really don't need. So I agree, Greg. You're right on. Thanks.
Yeah, Jane.
Yeah, you know, I agree with all of you. The last thing I would want would be a social media next door site. And maybe I should just clarify that a little bit. I think what I'm looking for is something similar to the Go Dublin app and maybe improving on it, where you have the opportunity and staff would be able to more easily be able to communicate with a group of people. Let's say, for instance, they have to notify 300 from, you know, like ARB or planning and zoning, they have to notify 300 yards out. Instead of sending out a postcard, it might be easy to be able to use something where you know that you can do that technologically. Or there's a neighborhood concern in a particular, you know, area, and you just want you want an opinion about a specific neighborhood concern. It would be similar to and it would be private. It would only, you'd be able to give your opinion, or you would be able to send information out. I see it as something that makes the work a little bit easier, but I definitely I don't know what these apps look like, but I'm with you. I don't think we need a big social media. That's what Facebook is for. Dublin has a Facebook page. Dublin gets on next door. But not unlike that, we give surveys every now and then to improve our performance or to hear opinions. There must be software out there that would allow us to do that as well. And I think that's, I guess that's what I'm looking at. You know, that's what I'm thinking about. But I don't disagree.
Jane,
let's just let the admin committee work out this process. I'm sure you guys will get a lot of good information from staff and have really great conversation amongst yourselves, and we'll look forward to what you have to bring back to the balance of council and hearing that. So thanks, Jane. Appreciate it. Anything else? Nothing else? You, Jane? Okay. Greg?
The only one thing that I do have that I want to mention, I think the time is right, and it's the responsible thing for me to do. I am wrapping up my 12th year on council My first term, I first got elected when I was 26 years old. And so you insert about 12 years of being off council in the middle of those 3 terms. And it has been a long, long time. And it's been a terrific honor to represent first Ward 2 and then Ward 1. But that's going to be the end of my career on Dublin City Council at the end of this year, and I will not be running for re-election. This community deserves to have a healthy, robust job interview process with whoever my replacement is going to be and decide who that person is. And I think the only fair and reasonable and responsible thing for me to do is bow out of that conversation now. It's, believe it or not, it's going to be May here in a few days. And that election's right around the corner. And so it has been one of the truly most meaningful honors to me in my career and in my life to be able to represent this community and to work with folks like I'm working with now, my fellow council members. I can tell you that over the years, I have never come across a finer group of people than the ones that serve this community, whether it's on city council or on staff. They are top shelf. They're simply just top shelf. And you guys are consummate professionals, and you're passionate, you're dedicated. You know the hours and hours and hours that we go through in order to do this job the right way. And you do it the right way. Our staff does it the right way. And you know, when I was honored to serve as mayor of this community, I used to say, I'm allowed to say this, that it's just better in Dublin, but it's just true. It's just better in Dublin. And that is not only the Dublin community and our neighbors and our friends and family that we live around, but it's you folks. It's you that have been putting your heart and soul into this place for decades and decades and decades. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for you folks and for the process. So I think it's appropriate for me to bow out, let that job interview process get started, and I will look forward to the next handful of months wrapping those up and passing the torch on to the next Dubliner that I'm sure will serve with as much passion and dedication as you folks do, and I look forward to finding out who that is. So thank you.
Well, you will be sorely missed. Your wisdom and insight is second to none. Certainly have been the most wisest of counsel to me. Certainly will appreciate your very genuine and true friendship or leadership in this community. And you always have great insight. So I know this conversation will continue, but thank you. Thank you for being my friend. Thanks for all you've done on behalf of this. With that, I will continue around my screen to Andy.
So Greg, you'll be missed. You're a great role model. I have the utmost respect for you, and I look up to you. I often hear what you don't say, and I, of course, hear what you do, and it inspires me to think very carefully before I say the next thing. So happy trails, and thank you for inspiring me to be better.
Anything else, Andy? Thanks. Brings me to John.
Hey, Greg, it's been fun, and I'm going to miss you because I was around your first go around, and I love your leadership and everything you've done to make this community great. It's been a wonderful trip, and you will be sorely missed. So your wisdom and insight has helped drive the city. You were there for some of the great changes that occurred in the city, and I'm talking about Bridge Street, some really tough decision making, risky decision making that all turned out successful. You were on the right page and the right side during all those issues, and brought the city to another level of greatness, which really we're setting a standard for the rest of the country. From what I understand from the planners that travel around the country, they're using our name as a modicum of how you're supposed to do this right, and you were right in there with it all. And you volunteered for basically for some leadership positions, which required a heck of a lot of time. And all that's really much appreciated. We owe you a great debt of thanks. Thank you.
Christina?
Thanks. I really stink at this kind of stuff. So, Greg, I think if you don't know how I feel about you now, then something's really wrong. So thank you for all your hard work. Thanks for everything. I know that I will see you. I think your friendship means more to me than, serving on council together. But since that's what introduced us, then I hold that in very high esteem as I do you as well. So big shoes to fill for sure. Other than that, I don't have anything, and I hope everybody has a good night and has a chance to enjoy some of this nicer weather that we've been having.
Kathy?
Hey, Greg, you described people that serve as having passion and dedication, and I would add for you, in addition to those, which you do so well, excellence and caring. And I know how hard you have worked to make sure all of those things really matter and all that you have done for Dublin, and you're going to be incredibly missed, but we'll have opportunities to do this. And I have one more thing to add. This is birthday week, and maybe this is part of what, Greg's doing. Yesterday was Greg's birthday. So happy birthday to you, Greg. And on Wednesday is Jane's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Jane. So I am not allowed to reveal ages, but I can tell you collectively, it's 61 years. So you can figure out how to divide those 61 years and what these ages of these folks are. But wish you a happy birthday, and thank you both for all you do.
Yes.
Thank you. And I want to have an opportunity here just to, because I was the first one, and then Greg popped in and decides that he's not going to run again. So Greg, just from my heart too, you are an inspiration. Andy is right about that. We've all looked up to you, and you've taught us so much. And you also said that when you come in, part of the role is learning and then doing and then teaching, and you've done all those things. So we're really going to miss you. The experience and the advice you give is just irreplaceable. So I won't keep you. We'll have other times to compliment you, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity. And thanks for the birthday wishes. And okay, I'm older than he is.
Hey, you guys make 27 and 30 look good. Okay, I have a couple things you may have seen today. The census information came out relative to the state of Ohio. I don't know that we have a breakdown yet for everything in Dublin, but it's getting close to having that information. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Did have an opportunity to speak to the Greater Dublin Realty Association on Friday morning, and my goodness, you talk about a busy group of people and the waters that they're navigating in this housing situation. They had a lot of great questions, and I shared with them about the housing study that we were doing to continue the Morpsey housing study, and told them that I wanted to come back to them at that when we have those results and start getting some of their input on how they felt, what role we can play in solving that riddle. And then I just want to mention to you, I know we all expressed our appreciation for Dr. Hoadley. I did have opportunity to have lunch with him last week, and he had not had opportunity to see the comments that we had made. And I asked him to go ahead and watch those and communicated all of your thoughts, hopefully accurately, in our appreciation for what he has done in his time in our district. So really appreciate that, and really cherish the opportunity to kind of put closure on that phase of our time with the schools. So hopefully we'll look forward to meeting Dr. Marchhazen and interacting with him. And I suspect it will continue to be a very good relationship in the future. So with that, I have nothing further. I wish you all a wonderful evening, and you actually have some time this evening to enjoy it. So thanks for your time. And thanks to anyone in the community that endured this with us this evening. Have a great night. Adjourn.
Good night.